Yankees 6, Royals 5 in game 1 of the ALDS. We're going to have a review of everything that happened. Very happy that you made the call to strike over here. We're going to have a ball. It's one more away. Let's talk about it.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Back like we never left. Jordan Foote, Joel Penfield. The last time we got together was a little bit lighter hearted than this, at least me and Joel on the podcast, following the Royals clinching against Baltimore, getting past them in the wild card round. This one's a little bit different. It was a back and forth game. It definitely lived up to the old adage. I was trying to guess before the game started, how long is this one going to go? And I was like, well, it's going to be a little bit high scoring, I think, compared to the games the Royals have had so far in the playoffs. And it lived up to everything, but simultaneously was also a very weird, and I don't want to call it a one-off game, but like in terms of the context, a lot of stuff that probably won't happen again.
That's true. There was a lot in this game that was absolutely wild. And the stat from Sarah Lang's first postseason game in the history of baseball in Major League Baseball history to have 5 lead changes in a game. That is insane. Absolutely insane. No lead was greater than 1 run at any point. So, I mean, it was a true back and forth game. Ultimately, the Yankees get a couple more breaks that go their way, and you lose a ball game 6-5. I think there's a few ways to look at this, and I think the phrase like both can be true kind of is my theme, kind of the theme of this. Like, if you look at, like, bottom line is the Royals didn't bathe themselves in glory tonight. Like, they walked 8 guys. They couldn't come through in a couple different spots with runners in scoring position. Bobby goes 0 for 5. Vinny goes 0 for 5. Like Ryle said, not going to work if they can go and glove shot. And the Royals did, and like I said, kind of derailed me a hair. But that to the last part of that is, I think, my biggest takeaway from this is that the Royals aren't going anywhere in this series. Like, they aren't. Josh, like you, totally agree. They prove they can hang with this team. They just have to clean some stuff up. And it's all stuff that's pretty fixable. It's nothing that's like drastically, they didn't look drastically outmatched tonight. The 4th inning or the 5th inning got away from them after the walk strikeout that turned into a walk, and then the inning kind of unraveled because the zone shrunk a ton. And you know, a couple bounces go your way, a challenge that was pretty clear after replay doesn't go your way, a run scores. But they battled to the very end. You know, just a tough game overall, but we'll see how they respond. They've done a good job of responding to games like this throughout the year. Cole Reagans is on the mound. The Yankees have a tough time against left-handed pitching. He had a pretty good start the last time that he faced the Yankees in the Bronx. So we'll see. But I'm not discouraged. I'm not throwing my hands up like, well, that's the series. Like, that was their one chance. I don't think that's the case.
No, and we are live on YouTube, guys. So if you want to drop a comment and share your thoughts on the game, feel free to do that. Hit that subscribe button. We just passed over 500 recently. So a huge thank you to you for that. If you're on Apple or Spotify, feel free to drop a review and hit the subscribe plus button for that as well. We mentioned, Joel, you just have to take one in New York and then take care of business in some fashion at home. They still have another game in New York. We don't know what's on the other end of this corner. And it could be they drop both in New York. And then you're like, man, they let game 1 get away from them. Again, both things can be true. Either way, they could have let this game get away from them. It doesn't have to be necessarily tied to the next one. Now, Chris Palmer, how confident are you that they can win 3 straight and possibly close it out at home? Do you want the honest answer? Or do you want the trying to be nice answer?
So I would put the percentage chance at something like 5 to 10%. Now, I think I probably will have a more definitive answer after game 2 if they win. Like, if Cole Reagans goes in there and goes 7 shutty and just dominates and they win the game 4-1 or 4-0, and the Yankees looked like just punchless against the Royals pitching, I think I'll feel a lot more confident. But I'm not going to go there until after I see the Reagans start. Obviously, if they lose, then you gotta rattle off something that it has been done, but doesn't happen often. Gabe, it's encouraging that it took all that and them getting the breaks to then beat them by one. I agree. I think it's something that we'll have to watch. And obviously, again, the walks were absolutely an issue tonight. Like, there's no denying that. I'm not going to just overlook that.
We're going to touch on that here in a while. Yeah.
I just looked it up too because I hadn't. It was something that I hadn't checked throughout the year. I think I clicked on the wrong thing. Stand by. Give me just a second here. I think I have the wrong thing.
Live lookups are also my passion, so yeah. I definitely get that.
So sorry, my brain is in a million different directions. That game took a lot out of me.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. The Royals were 12th in baseball. Like, they had the 12th lowest walk percentage in baseball, less than 8%. So I look at it like that's a little bit of an outlier. They've done a pretty good job of limiting walks and limiting damage. And John Schreiber almost had an all-time Houdini act, and a pitch that was about a half a ball outside, is the difference there. Yeah, I thought he made a really good pitch to Volpe in that spot, 94 backdoor sinker. It didn't, it just didn't work out. It's fine. Angel and Riles in the chat as well. Angel was the only one that really looked uncomfortable during the game. Yeah, he was spraying the ball a little bit. Yeah. But even when he was on the edges where he needs to be, he was getting squeezed too. So, like, again, that's kind of like both things can be true. Like, he was all over the place. But when he did get in the strike zone, he was not he wasn't getting the call either. If he gets some of those calls, the inning obviously flips. Do you want to go to Royals right there, clean up the walks, and Bobby Salvi needs to step up? I agree. And Bobby hit 2 balls that were really, really good tonight. Obviously, the first one, great play by Aaron Judge, and then he nearly had a short porch right field homer, missed it by like 3 feet. So I'm not discouraged by Bobby's performance, and obviously he got hosed on the call late in that game. Again, who knows how the 9th inning goes if the umpire stayed consistent with his strike zone all night rather than expanding at the worst possible time. Vinny, tough night for him. He hit the ball hard in the first inning, but then had a couple rough at bats. But overall, what did you think about the hitting side? Because to me, they roughed up Garrett Cole. They were seeing him really well. They put together some solid at bats. Garrett Hampson comes through in a spot where I certainly did not expect him to come through, but it was to me, a great move by Q to get, to get Isbell out of there against Tim Hill. That's a really tough lefty-lefty matchup. And the guy comes through, credit to him. I don't know where you go in other areas, but I thought they did a decent job all night working counts. They hit the ball hard. There was some unfortunate batted ball luck in there because a lot of those line drives were hit right at people. MJ Melendez with a big home run tonight. He's got a swing kind of built for the short porch. But other than that, I thought they did fine. Like, score 5. With the way the pitching staff has been tonight, notwithstanding, you score 5 runs, I feel pretty good about them being able to lock down that game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, 5 is a good number for them, I think, if they can push that to 6. Obviously, tonight it would have factored into the outcome. They would have went into extra innings. But also, I think that's just a really big number, even for a Yankees team, that they didn't. I'm going to push back a little bit on the people that are not straight up saying, insinuating, like, not giving. They're thinking the Yankees played a really, really, really good game and the Royals just goofed up, and they didn't. They went 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position. They left 11 on base. Like, they could have done a lot better too. I think both teams could have played a lot better. You're going to get better Garrett Cole, I think. I don't know how many times out of 10, 8 times out of 10 in a playoff game. So with that being said, the duality of the lineup production here, I think that they got a little bit of the MJ Melendez X factor. Michael Massey contributed well. The problem is, do we trust those things to be repeats? Do we trust Yuli Gurriel to consistently, and he played fantastic. The flip side of it is you also are not going to be getting 0 for 5 with a strikeout from Bobby Witt Jr., 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts from Vinny, 1 for 4 from Salvador Perez. So I think it's going to average out, so to speak, and you're going to get back to the normal contributions. Is that 5 runs? I don't know, but now you're relying on the stars to show up, which is a safer bet. And then you're
Yeah.
relying on, can we get 1 or 2 role players to step up? And so far, I mean, they've been getting that. So whether it's a pinch hit, Garrett Hampson, that is not a fluke anymore. I mean, that just seems to be a call that everyone goes against. And then it's Adam Frazier or Garrett Hampson that comes in and does the thing and flips the bird at people. Is it going to be Michael Garcia? Is it Michael Massey doing decent at the leadoff thing? Which he's been better than decent, I think.
So I think that's where, I think that is a real thing with what and it's a noticeable thing. His at bats are so much better in the leadoff spot. It's like he has this little mental note of, I have to put together a good at bat, see some pitches so that I can try and turn it over to Bobby. And yes, he swung at the first pitch last night, but it was a pipe fastball, and he nearly hit it out of the ballpark, missed it by like 3 feet. He hit it a little too high, but he put together some really solid bats, not even in the 9th inning. I thought he put together some a solid plate appearance, 7 fouled off, a bunch of pitches for unfortunately striking out, but I thought he still, didn't look overmatched. He did a really good job. I think that's, he's going to be your leadoff guy, lefty, righty. I don't think it matters the rest of the way. Rodon going on Monday. I wonder how heavy they try and platoon stuff. I don't think they'll do a ton of it. Maybe Renfroe is in for MJ, and then MJ gets deployed late. That might be the only move that I could see. And you get a Pham, Isbell, Renfroe outfield, which I know that sounds bad defensively in the corners, but it's a little more palatable in Yankee Stadium. I think you can handle that for one game, and obviously you can pinch hit MJ for either one of those guys later in the game once they get Rodon out.
Yep.
And I know that, and I mentioned it, or I said I saw a comment about it. I responded to it on YouTube because we were kind of past it, but he's asked about starting DeYoung over Garcia. I completely disagree with that. DeYoung has been bad for a month. I'm not going to act like Michael Garcia has been much better, but he's been better than about 129% worse than league average, which is what Paul DeYoung has been since the start of September. And DeYoung has the reverse splits. He is much worse against lefties. Not going to act like Michael Garcia is better, but it's better numbers. And I think, honestly, Michael has been fine. I thought he looked fine tonight. He had a hit. He worked some solid at-bats. He did enough, and he played really good defense as well at third. So I'm fine with having him hit 8th, 9th, and try and turn the lineup over and work a decent count. As long as he does that, I'm not going to worry about it. And then you deploy DeYoung situationally if they feel like they need him to.
2 quick things that I want your opinion on the second one before we break here. The first one, the Bobby Witt Jr. ball that I thought was going to be a double easily, that Aaron Judge just got on.
That was a great play.
Ran the F down. 940 expected batting average. Like, that catch percentage was very low.
And the Gleyber Torres home run.
Yes.
The Gleyber Torres home run was a 410 expected batting average. Them's the breaks. Like, it was that type of night for the Royals in a lot of different aspects.
Yep. All right. Second inning, leadoff single for Salvador Perez. Yuli Gurriel walks. Melendez hits a single, doesn't go to second base. Perez sent home, thrown out. 2 questions. I guess the first one isn't even a question because I think we agree wholeheartedly. Melendez should have went to second and not been.
That's to me the bigger base running error than the Vance Wilson send. I'm okay. Like, the more I thought about it, I don't mind sending him in that scenario. Like, he's already running. I don't know if I want to, and Pham hits the fly ball later. And like, I'm not going to act like Yuli's fast either, but I don't know if Salvi scores on that either.
Sure.
So like, looking back on it, I'm okay with sending and trying to be aggressive. Soto made an on the money throw. If it's up the line, Salvi scores and we're not having this conversation. To me, the bigger error was MJ not taking second on the throw, or at least forcing a cutoff to try, to get him at second and at least make the defense think a little bit. Him just sticking at first made it an easier decision to just let the throw go straight home, and then Salvi's out.
Yep. Yeah, I like that perspective. I did not like sending him at all, but then I saw Melendez just hanging out in no man's land, just chilling, and I'm like, man, that's a bad look too. Both of them not great. They got to run out of the inning anyway, so not the end of the world. But I do want to peel back the 4 inning start for Michael Wacha. We're going to hit on that right after the other side of this break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Jordan Foote, Joel Penfield, no Josh Kaiser here. I'm subbing in, or I guess I'm not subbing in. I'm just stepping in. I have the immune system of, what is it, a Victorian era child, Joel, and still kind of getting over a little bit of brain fog and voice going out, stuff like that. No COVID, luckily. So on the other side of that, for the most part, the Royals on the other side of a 6-5 loss to the New York Yankees in Game 1 of the ALDS. So Michael Wacha, 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Now, a couple things I noticed right off the bat: 95-mile-an-hour average on the fastball. The season average was about 93.5. So
He
he
was
picked
pretty
up.
amped.
Yeah, he was amped. Saw decent increases in the spin rate across the board. 35 swings, 11 whiffs overall on 70 pitches, and 44 of them were for strikes. I think that it wasn't a very bad start for Michael Wacha. I don't think it was a good one, and I don't think there's a single person out there that would say it's a good one. But the major complaint is you'd like to get more length out of the starter and preserve a bullpen that kind of unpredictably wet the bed with the walks and the strike zone factored into it too. This is a good comment here about leaving him in. It's a flow of the game thing.
I disagree with the people that wanted to say that Q overmanaged it.
I was gonna say I was close. I couldn't make a firm
So
call either way.
I was okay with
in-game.
sending him back out for the 5th, but
Absolutely.
on a short leash. He had danced around danger in the first, got out of that, and then he danced, and then he obviously gave the homer, but then he danced around danger in the 4th too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was kind of dicey. Like, the stuff was good, but he was still kind of spraying stuff all over the place. Obviously, we can dive into maybe the Torres strikeout walk a little more, but that could obviously just set the tone for the rest of that 5th inning.
Take the way on that,
but
if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not going to go
at one
too far
point.
into
Then a
it, but
little.
I'm not going to go too far into it, but like, do your freaking job, Blue. Come on, man. Like, that's that, and it was an obvious strike. It wasn't like it was like a borderline thing. Wrong guy. I disagree with that too. You bring in the lefty to face Juan Soto, and Zerpa has been good for the last like 8 or 9 times he's been out there. So
a really quick interjection
it's very,
on
very
that.
easy to Monday morning quarterback a lot of this stuff. So you can say all of that, and if Zerpa gets Soto, then we're having different conversations. Like, the guy has to go out there and throw strikes.
Yeah, no, very, very quick. You hit the nail on the head. I don't think, and this is not towards Riles whatsoever. I'm not implying that they're assuming this, but the people on Twitter, man, right after that happened, why'd you go to Zerpa? Blah, blah. I'm like, we have a sample size of Adel Zerpa. The last game that he played in postseason ball, we were like, man, this guy's a dog. Like, he's built for the moment.
Yeah.
It can't change this quick. Like, we have to keep it very simple. Now, the caveat to that is if there was another preference for another guy, regardless of result, that's perfectly fine. But I don't think the Royals bullpen is currently constructed right now outside of Lucas Erceg, where you can go, man, you got to pound the table for this guy to come in right now. Like, they're all kind of in that circle of trust or lumped in together, I think.
So the bigger point, to go back to Riles' comment about leaving Wacha in that scenario, that was going to be the third look for Juan Soto and Aaron Judge at Michael Wacha. And I know that Wacha has historically good numbers against Judge. When you see a guy for the third time, the data bears it out. Batting average, OBP, slug, all increase, and they increase exponentially. And that's not necessarily exclusive to Wacha, but that's just across the board, across Major League Baseball. That's what the data bears out. The more you see a guy, the more likely it is you're going to get a hit, or you're going to see his pitches better and get on base. So in these scenarios, in these starts where tight game, it's kind of up in the game kind of hanging in the balance in these middle innings, I'm okay with them making a move to give a different look to Soto and Judge, knowing that's the only time that Soto and Judge are going to face that guy. And then they see someone else their next step at, and then someone else. So in this scenario where Waco kind of struggled with command in spots, was missing on the corners quite a bit, trying to be too fine at times, or just being right over the heart of the plate. I don't want him to, make a mistake to one of those two guys who we highlighted before the series. Don't let them beat you. Don't give them a cookie. And generally speaking, too, and this is just kind of a general opinion that I have, I'm okay with pulling a batter early than a batter too late. And I think people would have had more complaints because they just want to complain if they left Walker in and Soto hits a 2-run homer. Man, you should have pulled him after the Torres walk. Like, again, kind of easy to Monday morning quarterback these things as we're sitting on our couch.
Well, and it's such a quick reaction, quick take. And I fall victim to this all the time. That's why, like, during the game, when I take my notes, I write down my thought, even if it's a really stupid one. And I do this during cheap stuff too. So then I'll go back afterwards after I've thought about it. And I'm like, man, should I like stand on this, or should I admit, hey, during the game, I thought this was a really good or really bad move. Turns out, you reflect on it, you talk with people, and it was the opposite. So this is a good comment from Chris Palmer about no Chris Bubich or Daniel Lynch. Man, you got to look at almost everybody else besides them. I mean, they used 6 pitchers, including Wacha, so I guess 5 out of the
got
10
in there, and I thought Lorenzen looked fine.
And Lorenzen had hung around for a bit when Sam Long was in there too. They pulled him in, and then Lorenzen worked 1 1/3.
Long's outing kind of was really frustrating because he comes in to face Verdugo, and 4-pitch walk out of the bullpen is such a rough look to have that in that spot. To get it back to the top of the order, and eventually that run scores. So not an ideal scenario there.
So we kind of glossed over the John Schreiber coming into the game. Steps in, Stanton pops out. Jazz has like the broken bat, fielder's choice, kind of weird situation there. He takes a tumble. We aren't sure what's going on there. Little mound visit, throws a couple pitches, walks Volpe to take the lead. Cabrera struck out to end the inning, so no harm, no foul necessarily. You score 1 run in the inning, not the end of the world, especially considering Zerpa had back-to-back walks or whatever it was. Just not good command from him at all. They score in the top of the 6th inning. Sam Long comes in, leadoff walk for, I think it was Verdugo at that point. Then a strikeout for Torres. Soto singled. I should just be a smart person.
Yeah, so Soto had 2 singles tonight that Michael Massey, within a couple inches.
The fact that he was even that close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Wells, I think, singled to score him. And then Garcia made a really underrated play, I think, at the end to get Stanton. Now, Stanton
was able to make a really underrated play because he could sit there, make a phone call, do his taxes, and have a chat with Bobby really quick and still get him out by a step and a half.
I tell you what, the announcer kept saying, and this was even the last at bat, he can't run well anymore. But I'm like, man, there's no way that was max effort for him. There's just 0 way.
It was. No, that's how he
There's runs. No chance.
Dude, he's station to station. If you watch, if he even tries to score from second, he's jogging.
It's like
you see it throughout the year.
Bad.
It's why he is a massive reason why the Yankees are the worst base running team in the league.
Clearly,
now he weighs a ton of that down, but they don't steal a ton, and when they do, it's not great. They're not very good at taking the extra base, something the Royals are good at.
He's so freaking slow.
Like, that's the sort of stuff that, can lose you a game. And they're lucky that didn't come back and haunt them. But again, that's the kind of stuff, like, again, the margins are so thin. That's the kind of stuff that as the series goes, the Royals can take advantage of that. And maybe there's another play in game 2, similar, that can turn the tide because Stanton's not going to run. Because he's so worried about getting hurt and blowing a hammy.
And maybe it's because of the build with him, I guess. And he's like a tall dude, obviously, but he has the same sprint speed. I saw someone tweet as Salvador Perez. Yeah. And you see them run. I'd like to see them get in a race or something. And Salvador Perez just runs differently than him.
Salvi at least looks like he's trying to run.
And I think that's
Like,
what it is. He looks like he's hauling ass.
it
Stanton
ain't
literally looks like he's just out for a,
it ain't for lack of
fast
trying
walk.
from Salvi, and I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the young man is just kind of slow. Something I thought of tonight, and if we want to, I want to talk about the call at second base, because obviously
Yeah.
that decided
Yeah.
the game. We don't have to necessarily get into the replay side of it, because I think we all know it was objectively the wrong call. The Royals were right to challenge it, and it should have been an out. That side done. The throw from Salvi was horrible, and you would have had Jazz out by 3 steps if that's on the bag. I wonder, and Salvi still has the arm to get it there, but his throwing has been really bad.
He hasn't been good in the postseason, and it's 3 games. Like, I'm not at all implying
But
anything.
no,
But he's
not even in the game, not even like in the postseason, but like leading up
just
to
in
it,
general.
made multiple throwing errors high. Like he's trying to get it, to get it there when he really doesn't need to, because his arm has always been good and he still has the ability to do it. Late in these games, I think as early as the 6th, you need to think about getting Salvi out from behind home plate, move him to first, get Fermin in for Yuli.
I think he
and
texted this at some point.
Get Freddie in the game for late in these games, because he is a much better framer. He's as good or better of a blocker, and he is so good at throwing runners out. Those types of things, like Freddie would have thrown out Jazz by 20 feet in that scenario. Now, I'm not going to act like it was a easy degree of difficulty play, because Lorenzen threw a slider down. Salvi had to back pick it, but it was just another high throw that we've seen issues with, over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's just something to look into. Like, you're carrying Freddie Fermin on this roster, and he is the backup defensive catcher. I think it's something they need to consider. Maybe, but Salvi's also 34, and there's a reason for him to catch 120 games, right? And Freddie is so good defensively that, like, there's value in him being in the lineup. And for most of the year, he was a pretty solid hitter in his own right, so you had to put him in the lineup. That has obviously not been the case over the last month or so. But again, Freddie's so good behind the plate, he carries so much value that you're okay with having him in the lineup because of what he means behind the plate at one of the most important positions on the field.
So my notes kind of the line graph of like really copious, intense notes to, okay, let's just get this game over with. Okay, we got action to, okay, yeah, let's get this going. Bottom of the 7th, Lucas Erceg comes in, ground out on a 100-mile-an-hour pitch. He came in and just started throwing gas. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to do his job.
Soto and Judge's door and Stanton's doors off. That's why
that
Lucas
bottom of the
Erceg
8th
is
was
that dude.
fire. Even with Wells walking, then he came back and said, Stanton, bam, go home. End of inning.
And again, and I think the thing that impressed me the most about what the Royals pitchers did tonight, especially when facing Aaron Judge, it was they were not afraid to pitch to him at all, which I thought was something that coming into the game, I'm like, the series, I don't know. I wouldn't pitch to him. I would just walk him and make everybody else beat you.
Good comment here from Kyle, by the way.
That is also fair.
And he played good defensive plays too tonight.
2 very heady plays. And me talking about that switch is not an indictment on Yuli Gurriel at all. It is more about getting Freddie in the game for defensive purposes,
optimizing
Salvi in the lineup for the offense. And Salvi actually holds down a pretty good first base. I will say he has been pretty solid there this year. What was I talking about before? Aaron Judge.
Bullpen. Yeah, and Judge.
They did a great job pitching to Aaron Judge, because they were flipping, breaking balls up there. And when they threw fastballs, it was on the edges. They were not giving him anything near the middle of the strike zone. And if they did, it was Erceg throwing 99 and try and square that up. As good as Judge is, like, not many dudes can square up 99 100 right down the middle. And then it was 99 top of the zone. Good night. And I've seen a lot of Yankee fans, they're starting to turn on Judge in October a little bit. It's interesting.
Mm,
It's interesting. If Reagans punches out Judge in his first couple at bats,
dude,
the Yankee Stadium Symphony is going to come out.
imagine hearing before the game if someone told you it's going to be one of the most exciting playoff games, one of the most drama-filled playoff games that we've had this year, but both of the MVP candidates won't really do crap. I wouldn't have believed that. I figured that Witt and Judge both would have shown up, and like for Witt, don't really care. He's young enough. It's his first postseason run for Judge, man. Like this is legacy talk every time you're in the playoffs now, because like now you're building the reputation of, oh, Aaron Judge, he's going to strike out 3 times, and then he comes in and actually doesn't do well and does
So,
strike out 3 times.
for perspective, and this is not including
And I love
tonight.
Aaron Judge for the record.
I do too. Aaron Judge he's great for the sport, and he's a really, really incredible player. Coming into tonight, Aaron Judge was
Oh God.
slashing 211, 310,
Oh
462.
man.
Now it's a 772 OPS, which is still good. But
Yeah.
when you think about Aaron Judge, that's a low number. And
Yeah.
then for 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts tonight. Thank you, Jay Trinidad, for hopping in the chat. I
was gonna say, brother, we were going to do a post game show whether they won or lost, and this
whether
was
they won or lost,
a
man,
hell of a game.
Yeah, Soto's scared than totally. I mean, we'll see what
Soto's so damn good.
Yeah, he's crazy, and he's 25,
and he's only 25. Yeah. Keep in mind, people who are 25 are still very young. They're not old.
He's not. He's just now getting into his prime.
Yeah,
pretty nuts.
Yeah.
We'll see what see how they handle and how they handle attacking Judge with Reagans as a lefty. As a with the lefty on the mound. I'll have to go back and look at what Reagans did against Judge in the outing in the Bronx. I'll probably take a look at that and highlight that, and just to see maybe how they handle it and where we go from there.
So let's go 9th inning, and then I do want to touch on Monday's matchup, and go from there. Luke Weaver, game on the line. Michael Massey strikes out to begin the inning. Bobby Witt Jr. gets up 3-0, faces a handful more pitches. The strike zone was bad. We knew this all game. You still have to offer at that, I think. That's easy for me to say, sitting here podcasting after the fact. I wouldn't have made contact, let alone done anything with it. Tough situation there for him to strike out looking. He looked pissed off. Like, I didn't expect him to say anything, turn. I expected a very quiet, subtle reaction from him. You could see like Q and Salvi in the background. They're like, okay, we kind of built up to this all game. So I don't really have too much of a gripe. If you're going to spend all the time with someone got squeezed, someone got screwed, this replay, like, guys, you're going to lose your hair. It's going to turn gray if you still have it. Like,
it happened. Major League umpires are mostly terrible. Like, you can't complain about every call. Like, you just can't. And
with that said, in a postseason environment, it really does suck.
Yeah, I mean, and it's obviously more heightened because the Royals are in the playoffs.
Yep.
And it's a playoff game in the Bronx. Like that is a hornet's nest, for any team, let alone Kansas City.
Yep.
But we'll see. But like I said, we'll see how this team responds. They've done a great job of responding all year to adversity and to tough losses like this. I know that they'll be able to regroup, and with Cole Reagans on the mound, I have the utmost confidence they're going to at least be in the game and give themselves a shot to win it. I can't wait to talk about it after game 2, because we could be looking at a split heading back to Kansas City, where it's the first home game in 9 years with another Cy Young type candidate on the mound. We'll see what they're able to do and if they're able to carry any momentum on that flight.
Reagan, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned, 7 strikeouts on the 11th of last month against the Yankees. Rodon faced the Royals twice in the regular season, went 13 combined innings and had 12 strikeouts between those two. He's going to throw that 4-seamer about half the time. 50% hard hit rate, though, so like the peripherals are not as good as the pitch has actually been performing, but the slider huge put away pitch, 199 batting average, 43% K rate. The changeup, beautiful setup pitch, almost a 50% whiff rate. Curveball has better expected data than the actual numbers. And then the cutter, he goes to it like I think 3 or 4% of the time. It's bad. That's why he doesn't throw it. Gets hit pretty hard, but just still scoots by it and is a pitcher I like watching quite a bit. So I think the keys to victory for the Royals, get some length from Cole Reagans. He came out of his last start with like the calf cramping. That seemed to be extremely precautionary. Don't think it's going to linger here. They only got 4, obviously, from Wacha in game 1. Keep attacking that freaking short porch in right field that everyone went from, oh my God, this sucks, to, okay, I love this ballpark in 1 inning.
And both home runs being unicorns is pretty funny.
Insane.
Both of them were 1 of 30.
Yes. Get back to running the bases. No stolen base, or I guess it was 7 left on base and no stolen base attempts, right? Unless I'm missing one that I just can't remember and blacked out on. I know Jazz had one. I don't think the Royals attempted a single stolen base. I'm going to verify that because I don't want to spread.
Well, I think they were going to, and they had that. It was that weird one where Hampson was going to steal,
and then he stepped off.
The pitcher stepped off, and the catcher called time. It was weird. I don't know.
Yeah, and then get more production from the Stars, and I think bullpen throw strikes, and that's something that, I mean, we probably should have devoted more time to, but I'd be floored if they walked.
I mean, I think it's as simple as just get back in the zone. Yeah, like get back in the zone. Like it's
and get
it's
an
one of
umpire
those things
that spreads it out a bit.
Yes, like I don't think we'll see 8 walks again. And hopefully, I don't know who the next the next home plate umpire is going to be, but I don't think he will have the zone be that tight. That did play a factor, whether people want to believe it or not.
That's a good comment from Butler fam. It takes 2 to tango. You have to get the Bobby Witt Jr.'s and the Michael Garcias on base in order to. You don't want Yuli Gurriel and Tommy Pham up there. I guess Pham's a better example, but
like that does factor in for sure.
Yep. What are your keys to the game, Joel? You have anything or a toast game for a losing game or any final thought?
Cole Reagans, if he goes out there and shoves, I think the Royals are going to have an opportunity. Then it's scratch across a couple against Rodon, who they've had success against in the past. This is in the recent past too. It's not like it was a couple years ago. And even in the most recent start in the Bronx, they did pretty well against him. It to me feels like it's going to be the Salvador Perez playoff moment game off of Rodon. Salvi hits lefties really well. He throws one of those fastballs, near the middle of the zone. I think Salvi's will be able to pull it and hit it. And he loves hitting in Yankee Stadium. We'll see. And I want to see, Bobby continue and get on base. And we're going to see it, I think. I think this was we kind of know what to expect in the Bronx now. And again, they played their ass off and put themselves in a position, late in the game to steal one. Obviously didn't happen. You get a couple of bounces of the ball, a little bit different, and we'll see where it goes. But the Royals, despite not playing a clean game, still came within 1 of stealing a game in the Bronx against the Yankees ace. So we'll see how it goes. But I said it off the top. I still agree with it. This team ain't going anywhere. They're going to give themselves a chance, and they're going to be in this series till the end.
Lots to clean up for both sides. Lots to clean up for us. We'll watch the film, reflect, and come back better, just like the team potentially will on Monday. Guys, we'll talk soon. So thanks for tuning in on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Hit the subscribe on all of those platforms if you like. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you then.